I'm Cassandra, 34, and today is my sister Stephanie's baby shower at the Rosewood Gardens venue. Our relationship has always been strained, but I never expected what happened next. As guests gathered around, Stephanie made a cruel joke about my unmarried status that left the room awkwardly silent. Just when I thought I couldn't feel more humiliated, the door opened and a handsome man walked in with a little girl holding his hand. Little did I know how this stranger would transform everything. Before I tell you how this man changed my life, let me know where you're watching from and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever been judged for your life choices. The morning of Stephanie's baby shower, I stood in front of my closet longer than necessary, scrutinizing every outfit option. As an interior designer in Chicago, I typically dressed with confidence, but family gatherings always made me second-guess myself. I finally settled on a blush midi dress that was fashionable without being flashy. God forbid I outshine the mother-to-be. My apartment reflected my success, a spacious downtown loft with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. I transformed it from a bare industrial space into a sophisticated home featured in several design magazines. This space represented everything I'd prioritized: my career, my independence, my vision. While my friends had been getting married and having children throughout their 20s and early 30s, I'd been building Cassie Anderson interiors from the ground up. It wasn't that I was opposed to marriage or family. I just hadn't met someone who made me want to rearrange my priorities. My last serious relationship ended 2 years ago when Brian issued an ultimatum about marriage that felt more like a deadline than a proposal. I chose myself instead. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Don't forget to bring your gift. Stephanie's registered at 4 different stores. I glanced at the meticulously wrapped package on my counter, a high-end baby carrier that cost more than my first month's rent. Not that Stephanie would appreciate it. Nothing I did ever quite measured up in my family's eyes. Stephanie was 2 years younger than me but had somehow positioned herself as the family golden child. She became a pediatrician, married a surgeon named David, bought a house in the suburbs with a white picket fence, and now, right on schedule, was having a baby. My parents never explicitly said they preferred her life choices to mine, but their constant questions about my dating life and pointed comments about my ticking clock made their feelings clear enough. I grabbed my keys and the gift, took one last look in the mirror, and gave myself a silent pep talk. 6 hours. You just need to survive 6 hours. The drive to Rosewood Gardens took 40 minutes, giving me plenty of time to rehearse responses to inevitable questions about my love life. I'm focusing on my business right now. The right person hasn't come along yet. I'm actually quite happy with my life as it is. All true statements, yet all would be received with pitying smiles and well-meaning but condescending advice. When I arrived, the venue looked like something straight out of a magazine. White roses and baby's breath arrangements adorned every surface. A "Welcome Baby James" banner hung across the entrance. Trust Stephanie to have the most Pinterest-perfect baby shower possible. I plastered on my best smile and walked inside, immediately spotting my mother directing the catering staff with military precision. She rushed over when she saw me, eyes immediately dropping to my gift. "Cassie, you're 15 minutes late. Everyone's already here." She adjusted my hair slightly, a habit from childhood that still irritated me. "Stephanie was asking about you." "Traffic," I lied, knowing full well I'd circled the block 3 times to delay my entrance. "The place looks beautiful, doesn't it?" Stephanie planned everything herself, even with her busy schedule at the hospital. Such an organized girl. The implication being, of course, that I was not. I nodded and scanned the room, counting at least 30 women chatting in small groups. I recognized aunts, cousins, Stephanie's friends from medical school, and a few neighbors from our childhood street. Everyone important in Stephanie's life was here to celebrate her. Aunt Margaret spotted me and waved enthusiastically. I braced myself as she hurried over, knowing exactly what was coming. "Cassandra, darling, it's been too long." She embraced me in a cloud of expensive perfume. "You look wonderful. Any special man in your life yet?" And so it began. "Not at the moment, Aunt Margaret. My business is keeping me pretty busy. I shifted the conversation. How's Uncle Phil's retirement going? She launched into a detailed account of their recent cruise, giving me a moment to breathe. Across the room, I caught Stephanie's eye. My sister looked radiant in a pale blue maternity dress that highlighted her 7-month baby bump. She gave me a small wave, but made no move to come greet me. I'd have to go to her as always. I worked my way through the crowd, accepting hugs and deflecting personal questions as efficiently as possible. By the time I reached Stephanie, I'd already explained my single status to 5 different relatives and 2 of her friends. You made it, Stephanie said, accepting my obligatory hug. I was beginning to think you weren't coming. And miss my only sister's baby shower? Never. I handed her the gift. This is for baby James. Thanks. You can put it on the table with the others. She gestured toward a table already overflowing with presents. Mom told me your business is doing well. That must keep you busy. The way she said busy made it sound like a consolation prize. It is. I just finished a project for that tech CEO who was featured in Forbes last month. I couldn't help the pride that crept into my voice. That's nice. Must be fulfilling to decorate other people's family homes. Before I could respond to the thinly veiled Barb, her friend Lisa called her away to meet someone's mother, leaving me standing alone with my gift still in hand. I placed it on the designated table and headed straight for the mimosa station. This was going to be a long afternoon. The first hour passed in a blur of baby shower games that felt designed to highlight my outsider status. Guess the baby food flavor, and don't say baby, were innocent enough, but share your favorite motherhood memory. Left me silent while others cooed over first steps and cute mispronunciations. I busied myself helping Mom distribute finger sandwiches and refill punch cups, playing the role of helpful daughter while avoiding conversation. My cousin Rebecca cornered me by the dessert table. So, no +1 today? I thought after Brian you might have found someone new by now. I smiled tightly. I'm taking a break from dating. Focusing on myself. That's brave. Her tone suggested it was anything but. You know, my friend Justin is divorced, but really nice. I could give him your number? I appreciate the thought, but I'm good, I said, reaching for a strawberry to avoid further discussion. Well, don't wait too long, she whispered conspiratorially. The good ones get snapped up fast after 30. I excused myself to the restroom, needing a moment alone. In the mirror, I looked exactly as I felt, slightly flushed, smile strained at the edges. I reapplied my lipstick and reminded myself that I had a beautiful life that I'd built entirely on my own terms. No matter what anyone in this room thought, I was proud of that. When I returned, it was time for Stephanie to open gifts. Everyone gathered in a circle around her chair, which had been decorated with blue and white streamers to resemble a throne. Mom appointed Lisa to record each gift for thank you notes, and the unwrapping began. Stephanie performed perfectly, gasping with appropriate levels of surprise and gratitude for each item. Oh, this is exactly what we wanted, she exclaimed over a set of organic cotton onesies. How did you know? She cooed about a baby monitor that was clearly on her registry. When she reached my gift, I felt an irrational nervousness. The baby carrier was top of the line, ergonomic and stylish, recommended by every parenting blog I'd frantically researched the night before. From Cassie, Stephanie announced, carefully removing the wrapping paper. She lifted the carrier out and examined it. Oh, it's nice. Just nice. Not exactly what she wanted. Not perfect. Just nice. It's the one that was featured in Parents magazine last month. I offered. Supposed to be the best for back support. I think I registered for a different one, but this is fine. Thanks. She set it aside and reached for the next gift, effectively dismissing my contribution. I felt my cheeks burning, but maintained my smile. Across the circle, Mom gave me a small shrug as if to say, what did you expect? After the gifts, it was time for toasts. Lisa, as the maid of honor at Stephanie's wedding and apparently the designated best friend for all life events, went first. She shared a touching story about Stephanie's journey to motherhood, her dedication to her pediatric patients, and how she would be the most amazing mom ever. Then my mother spoke, her voice thick with emotion about her first grandchild. She talked about how Stephanie had always been maternal, always known she wanted a family, always been responsible and nurturing. The room turned to me expectantly. As the sister, I was obviously next in line. I hadn't prepared anything, assuming I'd be able to fade into the background as usual. I clear my throat and raise my glass. To my little sister. You've always known exactly what you wanted and gone after it with determination. I know you'll bring that same dedication to motherhood. To Stephanie and baby James. Short but sincere. I thought I'd navigated the moment successfully until Stephanie took the microphone back. Thanks, sis. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You know, it's funny. Growing up, everyone always thought Cassie would be the first to get married and have kids because she's older. But here I am, beating her to the finish line. A ripple of awkward laughter spread through the room. I guess some of us just had different priorities, she continued, patting her belly. Though if you wait much longer, Cass, we might need to look into some fertility treatments for you. At least one of us managed to find a husband before her eggs dried up. The room went silent for a beat before a few uncomfortable chuckles broke out. Someone near the back gasped audibly. I stood frozen, champagne flute halfway to my lips, unable to process that my sister had just publicly mocked my unmarried, childless state at her own baby shower. My mother jumped in quickly. Well, everyone has their own path. Who wants cake? But the damage was done. I could feel eyes on me, some sympathetic, others amused, all seeing me as the pitiable older sister who couldn't secure a husband. My carefully constructed confidence crumbled in an instant. I set my glass down with trembling fingers and excused myself. I need some air, I muttered to no one in particular, moving toward the garden doors as steadily as my wobbling legs would allow. Outside, the spring air was cool against my burning face. I found a stone bench partially hidden by a flowering cherry tree and sank onto it, finally allowing the tears to come. They weren't sad tears. They were angry, frustrated tears that had been building for years of snide comments and backhanded compliments. How dare she? How dare Stephanie use her moment of celebration to publicly humiliate me? And how dare our family laugh along, as if my life choices were somehow a punchline? I wiped furiously at my cheeks, smearing expensive mascara across my face. In that moment, I hated my sister. I hated that she could still make me feel small despite all I'd accomplished. I hated that part of me still craved her approval and our parents' approval, even knowing it would never come. The garden was mercifully empty. Everyone inside focused on the cake-cutting ceremony I was now missing. Good. Let Stephanie have her perfect moment without the spinster sister lurking in the background. I found a tissue in my purse and dabbed at my eyes, trying to salvage what remained of my makeup. A glance at my compact mirror showed raccoon eyes and blotchy cheeks. So much for maintaining dignity. Are you okay? The small voice startled me. I looked up to find a little girl with copper-colored curls and serious brown eyes watching me curiously. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old, wearing a yellow dress with a cardigan that had butterflies embroidered on the pockets. I'm fine, sweetie, I said automatically, closing my compact. Just needed some fresh air. You don't look fine. You look sad. She tilted her head. My dad says it's okay to be sad sometimes, but it helps to talk about it. Before I could respond, a deeper voice called out, Emma, where did you go? A moment later, a man appeared around the corner of the garden path. He was tall, with dark hair slightly rumpled, as if he ran his hands through it often. When he spotted the little girl, relief washed over his features. Emma, you can't wander off like that, he said, hurrying over. I didn't wander. I was exploring, she corrected seriously. And I found a lady who's sad. The man's eyes shifted to me, and I became acutely aware of my tear-stained face and smudged makeup. Embarrassment flooded through me. I'm so sorry if my daughter bothered you, he said, his voice warm with genuine concern. Emma has a habit of making friends wherever she goes. She wasn't bothering me, I assured him, attempting a smile. Just caught me in a moment. He studied me for a second, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean handkerchief. Who still carried handkerchiefs? Here. It might help. I accepted it gratefully. Thank you. I must look a mess. You look like someone who needed a minute away from the party, he said diplomatically. We're late arrivals ourselves. I'm Nathan Wilson, and this is my daughter, Emma. Cassandra Anderson, I replied, using the handkerchief to wipe away the worst of the mascara streaks. Cassie. You're Stephanie's sister, he said, recognition dawning. She's mentioned you. My stomach tightened. All good things, I'm sure, I said, unable to keep the sarcasm from my voice. Nathan's mouth quirked up at one corner. Actually, she mainly mentioned you're an interior designer. I just moved to the area and bought a house that desperately needs help. Daddy says it has good bones but bad skin. Emma piped up. That surprised a genuine laugh out of me. That's actually a pretty accurate way to describe a lot of homes. Why were you crying? Emma asked, her directness refreshing after an afternoon of veiled comments. Emma, Nathan admonished gently. That's a bit personal. It's okay, I said, finding that I didn't mind her question. Sometimes grown-ups say things that hurt each other's feelings. Even sisters. Emma nodded solemnly. Like when Lily at school said my drawings were stupid because I made the sun purple. Exactly like that. I agreed. Was your sun purple because that's how you wanted it to be? No, it was purple because the yellow crayon was missing, she said pragmatically, making me laugh again. But I still liked it. Smart girl, I said. Sometimes we have to work with what we have, right? Nathan was watching our exchange with an expression I couldn't quite read. We should probably head inside and offer our congratulations, he said. I work with Stephanie at Chicago Children's Hospital. I'm the new pediatrician in her practice. That explained his presence at a predominantly female event. Have you been in Chicago long? Just 3 months, he said. We moved from Boston after. He glanced at Emma, who had wandered a few feet away to examine a butterfly on a bush. After we needed a fresh start. Something in his tone told me there was more to that story. Before I could respond, Emma called out, Daddy, look. It's a monarch butterfly. It's beautiful, he called back, then turned to me. Would you like to come inside with us? I could use an ally. I barely know anyone here. Under normal circumstances, I would have made an excuse. I would have said I needed more time alone, or that I was thinking of leaving early. But something about his kind eyes and Emma's sweet directness made me nod. I'd like that, I said, standing up and smoothing my dress. Though I should probably fix my face first. If it helps, I think you look perfectly fine, Nathan said, then immediately looked embarrassed. I mean, you can't even tell you were. That is. It's okay, I said, smiling at his discomfort. I know what you meant. Emma skipped back to us. Are you coming to have cake with us? Daddy said there's going to be cake. There is definitely cake, I confirmed. And yes, I'll join you. Emma beamed and impulsively took my hand. Good. You can sit with us. Daddy doesn't know how to talk at parties. He gets awkward. Nathan groaned. And that's quite enough revelations about me for one day. Thank you, Emma. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had all day. If it makes you feel better, I'm not much of a party person either. Why not? Emma asked. Parties have cake. They do have cake, I agreed. That's probably the best part. As we walked back toward the venue, Emma between us still holding my hand, Nathan said quietly, whatever happened in there, just remember that people who try to make others feel small are usually trying to feel bigger themselves. I glanced at him, surprised by the insight. That's actually pretty wise. I have my moments, he said with a self-deprecating smile. Few and far between, but they happen. For the first time that day, I felt like I could breathe properly. I'd walked into the garden humiliated and alone. Somehow I was walking back in with allies. We re-entered the venue through the garden doors, stepping from the peaceful quiet into a cacophony of baby shower chatter and laughter. Stephanie was in the center of the room, one hand resting on her baby bump while the other gestured animatedly as she told some story that had her audience captivated. Her eyes flickered to us as we entered, widening slightly when she noticed me walking with Nathan and Emma. I watched her expression shift from surprise to calculation in an instant. "Nathan," she called, waving him over. "You made it. And you found my sister, I see." "We met in the garden," Nathan explained as we approached. Emma was making friends as usual. Emma, still holding my hand, nodded proudly. Cassie was sad, but we fixed it. Stephanie's smile tightened at the corners. "Oh," was she. "Just getting some fresh air," I said smoothly, refusing to give her the satisfaction. "It's a bit warm in here." "Well, you're just in time for cake," Stephanie said, her attention shifting entirely to Nathan. "We've been saving it until everyone arrived." "Sorry we're late," Nathan said. "Hospital emergency. You know how it is." "Of course." Stephanie touched his arm familiarly. "I'm just glad you could make it. I've saved seats for you at the main table." I wasn't surprised when her gesture indicated only 2 chairs, for Nathan and Emma. I wasn't included in the invitation. "Actually," Nathan said, glancing at me, "I promised Cassie she could sit with us. Emma's already made friends with her." "I like her," Emma stated matter-of-factly. "She doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby." Stephanie's expression flickered between annoyance and the need to maintain her hostess composure. "Well, I'm sure we can squeeze in another chair," she said finally. As we moved toward the table, I noticed several of Stephanie's friends watching our interaction with interest. My sister had always been the center of attention, especially at social gatherings. Having the handsome new doctor's attention diverted to me was clearly an unexpected development. The cake was a masterpiece of baby blue fondant and delicate sugar decorations, a miniature cradle with a fondant baby nestled inside. "It's beautiful," I said sincerely. "Isn't it?" Stephanie preened. The bakery had a 6-month waiting list, but when I explained I was a doctor, they made an exception. I caught Nathan's eye, and he gave me a subtle, amused look that suggested he found her comment as unnecessarily boastful as I did. Mom appeared with a cake knife. "Stephanie, dear, everyone's waiting. Should we cut the cake now?" "Of course." Stephanie positioned herself perfectly for photos, gesturing for her husband David to join her. While everyone focused on the cake-cutting ceremony, Emma tugged on my sleeve. "Do you like butterflies?" she whispered. "I love butterflies," I whispered back. "Especially monarch butterflies like the one you found." She beamed. "Me too. I have a whole book about them at home. Daddy got it for me from the library." "That sounds like a wonderful book." "You could come see it sometime," she suggested, with the easy openness of childhood. "We have a big backyard. Maybe butterflies will visit." Nathan, overhearing, looked momentarily embarrassed. "Emma, Ms. Anderson is probably very busy with her work." "It's Cassie," I corrected gently. "And I'm never too busy for butterflies." Emma looked triumphantly at her father. "See? She can visit." Nathan's smile was apologetic but warm. "Maybe we should start with cake before planning social visits." As plates of cake were distributed, I found myself genuinely enjoying the moment. Emma chattered about her school, her new house, and how her dad couldn't cook anything except spaghetti and grilled cheese. Nathan occasionally tried to steer her away from revealing too many family secrets, which only made her stories more entertaining. Across the table, Stephanie watched our interaction with increasing irritation. When Emma accidentally knocked over her cup of punch, sending a stream of red liquid directly onto Stephanie's pale blue dress, the moment froze. "Oh my goodness!" Stephanie gasped, jumping up as the stain spread across her stomach. "I'm sorry." Emma's eyes widened in horror. Before Nathan could react, I was already grabbing napkins. "It's okay, Emma. Accidents happen. Stephanie, if you blot it quickly and run cold water over it, it won't set. This dress is designer." Stephanie snapped, dabbing ineffectually at the spreading stain. "Then you definitely want to handle it correctly," I said calmly. "Do you have a change of clothes?" "In my overnight bag," she admitted grudgingly. "Perfect. Why don't you go change and I'll take care of this? I've removed wine stains from white couches before. Punch on polyester will be easy. Nathan was watching me with something like admiration as I efficiently cleaned up the spill and assured Emma that everything was fine. You handled that really well, he said quietly while Stephanie went to change clothes. I deal with panicked clients all the time, I shrugged. A little punch is nothing compared to the client who let their puppy loose on a brand new white carpet. Emma, recovered from her mortification, giggled. What happened to the puppy? The puppy was fine, I assured her. And eventually, so was the carpet. When Stephanie returned in a different dress, the gift opening portion of the event continued. Nathan's gift was a handcrafted wooden music box that played a lullaby. It was Emma's when she was a baby, he explained. It always helped her sleep. Stephanie's expression softened genuinely for the first time that day. That's so thoughtful, Nathan. Thank you. I watched the interaction with curiosity. There was a story there, in the music box, in Nathan's decision to give away something so personal, in Emma's solemn nod of approval as her father presented it. As the party began winding down, I found myself reluctant to leave. Despite the humiliation earlier, the afternoon had taken an unexpected turn. I was helping collect discarded wrapping paper when Nathan approached again. Emma and I are heading out soon, he said. She has school tomorrow, and I have early rounds at the hospital. It was nice meeting you both, I said sincerely. Thanks for the rescue in the garden. Anytime. He hesitated, then added, I meant what I said about my house needing help. Would it be okay if I called you? Professionally, I mean. Before I could answer, Stephanie materialized beside us. Nathan, are you leaving? Let me walk you out. There's something I wanted to ask you about that patient case we discussed last week. She practically steered him away, leaving me standing alone with a handful of crumpled wrapping paper. I sighed and turned to find a trash bag, only to bump into Emma. Daddy likes you, she informed me matter-of-factly. He gets extra talkative when he likes someone. I couldn't help but smile. Is that so? She nodded seriously. He wrote your name on his hand, so he wouldn't forget it. He does that with important things. Before I could process this information, Emma skipped away to join her father at the door. As they left, Nathan turned and gave me a small wave. I waved back, feeling like a teenager with a crush instead of a grown woman in her 30s. I was helping Mom pack up the leftover food when Stephanie cornered me in the venue's small kitchen area. The last few guests had departed, and David was loading gifts into their SUV. What exactly was that about? Stephanie demanded, her voice low but sharp. I continued wrapping a plate of sandwiches in plastic wrap. What was what about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Nathan Wilson is my colleague, Cassie. We work together every day. I set down the plate and faced her. And? We had a conversation. He seems nice. He is nice. And newly single after losing his wife. The last thing he needs is someone flirting with him at a baby shower of all places. The implication stung. I wasn't flirting with him. His daughter found me outside after your little joke humiliated me in front of everyone, and they were kind enough to make sure I was okay. Stephanie had the grace to look momentarily abashed, but it quickly hardened into defensiveness. It was just a joke, Cassie. You're so sensitive these days. A joke. I felt years of suppressed anger bubbling to the surface. You publicly mocked me for being unmarried and childless. You suggested I need fertility treatments. How exactly is that funny? Everyone laughed, she pointed out. They laughed because they were uncomfortable and didn't know what else to do. My voice had risen despite my efforts to stay calm. Do you have any idea how it feels to be constantly reminded that my life doesn't match your definition of success? Stephanie rolled her eyes. Oh, please. You've always acted like you're above it all with your fancy career and downtown apartment. Some of us wanted a family and a normal life. And you think I don't? You think I chose to be single at 34? That I don't want what you have? Well, you certainly never acted like it. Always too busy with your career to date seriously. Too picky about men. Too independent. Too independent. I repeated incredulously. Is that a bad thing now? Should I have settled for someone who wasn't right for me just to check marriage off some list? You didn't even try. Stephanie's voice rose to match mine. You broke up with Brian when he wanted to get serious. You work 60-hour weeks. You barely date. It's like you're afraid of having what mom and dad have. What mom and dad have is not the only definition of happiness. I was practically shouting now. And for your information, Brian gave me an ultimatum. He didn't care what I wanted or needed. He just wanted a wife who would put his career first and have his babies on his timeline. At least he wanted to marry you. Do you know how many women would be grateful for that? I don't want someone to at least want to marry me. I want someone who loves me for who I am, not for who they can mold me into being. We were standing face to face now, years of resentment finally erupting to the surface. A throat clearing from the doorway made us both turn. Mom stood there, her expression a mixture of concern and disapproval. Girls, people can hear you in the main room. What on earth is going on? Stephanie immediately teared up, her hand going to her belly in a gesture that seemed calculated for maximum sympathy. Cassie's yelling at me at my own baby shower. The stress isn't good for the baby. I opened my mouth to protest the manipulation, but Mom was already moving to Stephanie's side. Cassandra, your sister is pregnant. Whatever this is about can surely wait for another time. It was so predictable it almost made me laugh. Of course. Stephanie's feelings always come first. Her achievements are always more important. Her life choices are always the right ones. That's not fair, Mom protested, but weakly. Isn't it? When was the last time either of you asked about my business without immediately changing the subject? When have you ever been as proud of my magazine feature as you were of Stephanie's medical school graduation? When have you ever defended me when relatives ask why I'm still single, instead of joining in the questioning? Mom looked genuinely startled. We're proud of you, Cassie. We've always been proud. No, you've always been concerned. Concerned that I'm not following the script. Concerned that I might end up alone. Concerned that I'm not like Stephanie. That's not true, Mom insisted, but her eyes didn't meet mine. It is true, Stephanie said unexpectedly. But it's because we worry about you. You're all alone in that apartment, working all the time. No partner to support you. I'm not alone. I have friends. I have colleagues. I have a life I built myself that I'm proud of. I took a deep breath. And I don't need your pity or your worry. I need your respect. Respect has to be earned, Stephanie shot back. And building a successful business from scratch doesn't earn it? Being financially independent doesn't earn it? Creating a life on my own terms doesn't earn it? What would earn your respect, Stephanie? Marrying the first man who asked? Having a baby because society says it's time? Stop it, both of you, Mom interjected. This is ridiculous. Your sisters. Family. Being family doesn't give her the right to humiliate me, I said quietly. And it doesn't give you the right to always take her side. Mom's face flushed. I don't always take her side. Name one time you didn't, I challenged. The silence that followed was answer enough. I think I should go, I said finally. Congratulations on the baby, Stephanie. I hope he grows up in a family that values individuality more than conformity. I walked out of the kitchen, passing David, who had clearly heard at least part of the argument. He had the grace to look uncomfortable. I grabbed my purse from where I'd left it and headed for the exit without looking back. Outside, the spring evening was cool and clear. I took a deep breath, feeling both drained and somehow lighter. After years of trying to earn approval I was never going to get, I'd finally stood up for myself and my choices. Cassie. I turned to find Nathan standing by his car. Emma buckled into the back seat. I thought you left, I said, surprised. Emma forgot her sweater, he explained, holding up the butterfly cardigan. Is everything okay? You look upset. Just family drama, I said, attempting a smile. Nothing new. He studied me for a moment. We were going to stop for ice cream on the way home. Emma's reward for being good at the party. Would you like to join us? Ice cream fixes most things, according to Emma's life philosophy. The kindness in his offer nearly undid me. I'd like that, I admitted. But I drove here, so I'd have to follow you. Perfect, he said, pulling out his phone. Give me your number and I'll text you the address. As I dictated my number, I noticed he already had a pen mark on his palm, just as Emma had said. The thought made me smile despite everything. The ice cream shop was a small, family-owned place called Scoops. Emma led us to the best table by the window, authoritatively informing me that the strawberry was good, but the chocolate was better. Nathan watched her with fond amusement. She's not wrong about the chocolate, he confided as we waited for our order. Though I'm partial to the mint chip myself. Mint chocolate chip has always been my favorite too, I admitted. Emma wrinkled her nose. Mint tastes like toothpaste. The wisdom of children, Nathan laughed, cutting right to the heart of the matter. Our ice cream arrived, chocolate for Emma, mint chip for both Nathan and me, and for a few minutes, we enjoyed it in companionable silence. So, Nathan finally said, without prying too much, do you want to talk about what happened back there? You seemed pretty upset when you came out. I hesitated, stirring my ice cream thoughtfully. Family is complicated. My sister and I, we've never really understood each other. Sisters can be like that, he nodded. My brother and I are complete opposites too. It's not just that we're different, I tried to explain. It's that my family sees her life choices as the right ones and mine as temporary. Like I'm just killing time until I get with the program and get married and have kids. And that's not what you want, he asked carefully. It's not that I don't want those things. I just want them on my terms, with the right person when it makes sense for my life. Not because it's what's expected. I can understand that, he said. Life rarely follows the plan anyway. Something in his tone made me look up. Is that what happened with you and Emma? His eyes shifted to his daughter, who was happily creating an ice cream mustache. In a way, Caroline, my wife, and I had a whole life mapped out. Career milestones, 2 kids, house in the suburbs. Then she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer when Emma was 4. 18 months later, she was gone. Nathan, I'm so sorry, I said softly. He gave me a sad smile. The point is, you can do everything right and life still throws you curveballs. So you might as well live authentically in the meantime. Emma looked up. Are you talking about mommy again? Just a little bit, sweetie, Nathan said gently. Emma nodded solemnly. Daddy says it's okay to be sad sometimes, but we have to remember the happy things too. She turned to me. Do you want to see my drawing? I made it while you were talking. She pushed a napkin across the table. On it, she'd drawn 3 stick figures, a tall one with spiky hair labeled Daddy, a small one with curly hair labeled me, and a medium one with long hair labeled Cassie. That's a beautiful drawing, Emma, I said, genuinely touched. Thank you for including me. You're welcome. You can keep it if you want. I carefully folded the napkin and tucked it into my purse. I'll treasure it. A week later, Nathan called about his house. What started as a professional consultation turned into dinner after Emma went to bed. We talked until midnight, discovering shared tastes in music, books, and terrible old movies. He was easy to talk to, thoughtful, funny, and refreshingly direct. Our relationship developed naturally over the following months. I helped him transform his house from a sterile, just moved-in space to a warm home that reflected both his and Emma's personalities. He listened to my stories about difficult clients and family tensions without judgment. Emma and I planted a butterfly garden in their backyard, complete with milkweed for monarchs. 3 months after the baby shower, Stephanie gave birth to a healthy baby boy. I sent flowers and a gift, but didn't visit the hospital. A week later, Nathan encouraged me to reach out. Family is complicated, he reminded me of my own words. But they're still family. I went to her house alone, armed with another gift and lowered expectations. Stephanie answered the door looking exhausted but happy, baby James cradled against her shoulder. Cassie, she said, surprise evident in her voice. I didn't expect to see you. I can leave if it's a bad time, I offered. No, come in. She stepped back. James just ate, so he'll be good for a while. The visit was awkward at first, but as she placed James in my arms, something shifted. My nephew was tiny and perfect, his little hand wrapping around my finger with surprising strength. He's beautiful, Steph, I said sincerely. He is, isn't he? Her face softened with love as she looked at her son. It's harder than I expected. The sleepless nights, the constant worry. I thought because I'm a pediatrician, I'd have it all figured out. No one has it all figured out, I said, thinking of Nathan's words about life and curveballs. I'm sorry about what I said at the shower, Stephanie said suddenly. It was cruel and unnecessary. I was jealous. Jealous? Of what? Your freedom, your success, the fact that you've built something that's entirely yours. She sighed. Don't get me wrong, I love David and I wanted this baby more than anything. But sometimes I look at your life and wonder what it would be like to answer only to myself. It was perhaps the most honest conversation we'd ever had. We didn't resolve everything that day, but it was a start. The first time I brought Nathan to a family dinner, my parents were visibly surprised. They had met him briefly at the hospital after James was born, but hadn't connected him to me. Emma charmed them immediately with stories about our butterfly garden. So, how did you two meet? Dad asked over dessert. At Stephanie's baby shower, Nathan answered. Emma found Cassie in the garden and decided we should be friends. Best decision I ever made, Emma declared proudly. Mom watched us throughout dinner, her expression thoughtful. As Nathan and Dad discussed baseball, she pulled me aside in the kitchen. He seems nice, she said cautiously. He is nice, I confirmed. And kind, and intelligent, and a wonderful father. And you're happy? I thought about the question seriously. I am. But not because I finally found someone, Mom. I was happy before. This is just different happiness. She nodded slowly. I think I understand that now. I'm sorry if we ever made you feel like your choices weren't valid, Cassie. We just wanted you to have what made us happy. I know, I said, surprising myself by believing it. But I needed to find my own version of happiness. As fall turned to winter, Nathan and I grew closer. Emma asked if I could help decorate their Christmas tree, then if I would join them for Christmas morning. By spring, I was spending more nights at their house than at my apartment. One evening, as we planted new flowers in the butterfly garden that had become our project, Nathan asked casually, Have you ever thought about moving in here? Officially, I mean. I sat back on my heels, soil staining my gardening gloves. Are you asking me to move in with you? I'm asking if you've thought about it, he clarified with a smile. Emma and I have. Quite a lot, actually. And what does Emma think about the idea? Why don't you ask her yourself? I turned to find Emma standing behind me, holding a small velvet box with a solemn expression. Emma, what's that? I asked, my heart suddenly racing. Daddy said I could hold it for him, she explained. Because I found you first. Nathan took the box from her and knelt beside me in the garden. This isn't how I planned to do this. I had a whole speech prepared about timing and second chances and how you turned our house into a home before you even moved in. But the truth is simpler than that. He opened the box to reveal a vintage-style emerald ring. I love you, Cassie. Emma loves you. We'd like you to be part of our family, officially. Will you marry me? I looked from Nathan to Emma, who was watching with hopeful eyes, and thought about how far I'd come from that humiliating moment at the baby shower. In the end, I had found love not by compromising who I was or rushing to meet some arbitrary timeline, but by being authentically myself until I found someone who valued that. Yes, I said, tears of joy spilling over. Yes to both of you. Emma threw her arms around me. I knew you'd say yes. Can I be the flower girl? Can we get a puppy now? Nathan laughed. One life-changing decision at a time, Em. As he slipped the ring onto my finger, I realized that the family I was building wasn't the one I had imagined as a young girl. It was better, richer, more authentic because it had come together in its own perfect timing. 1 year after Stephanie's baby shower, I stood in her backyard watching Emma chase James, now a toddling 1-year-old, across the grass. Nathan was deep in conversation with David by the grill, both men laughing about something. My parents sat nearby, Mom bouncing baby Rose, Stephanie's surprise second pregnancy, on her knee. Who would have thought we'd end up here? Stephanie said, joining me with 2 glasses of lemonade. I accepted one gratefully. Certainly not me. Not after that shower. God, I was awful to you that day. She shook her head. Pregnancy hormones are no excuse for being a terrible sister. Water under the bridge, I assured her. Over the past year, we'd gradually rebuilt our relationship on more honest terms. It wasn't perfect, but it was real in a way it had never been before. So, she gestured to my simple engagement ring. Have you set a date yet? September, I said. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. Emma wants to release butterflies instead of throwing rice. Of course she does. Stephanie smiled fondly at her niece-to-be. She's quite something, that kid. She is, I agreed, watching as Emma carefully helped James navigate a small step. She's the one who found me crying in the garden that day, you know. If she hadn't wandered off from Nathan. So my horrible comment actually led to you meeting the love of your life? Stephanie raised an eyebrow. You're not going to thank me, are you? I laughed. Let's not go that far. But I've made peace with it. Everything happens in its own time, right? The past year had been one of profound change and growth. Nathan, Emma, and I had created our own family unit, one built on mutual respect and understanding. My design business had expanded, and I'd hired 2 assistants to help manage the workload. I still worked hard, but I'd found a balance that allowed me to be present for school plays and family dinners. Mom approached, carrying Rose. This little one needs her Auntie Cassie, she declared, transferring the baby to my arms. She's been fussy all morning, but I bet you can charm her. I cradled Rose against my chest, breathing in her baby scent. Once, being handed a baby would have made me uncomfortable, aware of all the expectations and judgments behind the gesture. Now, I simply enjoyed the moment for what it was. You're a natural, Mom observed. I've had practice with James, I pointed out. And Emma's been giving me lessons in proper doll-holding technique. Very serious business, doll-holding, Mom agreed solemnly. After a pause, she added, I'm sorry we pressured you so much about marriage and children. Watching you with Nathan and Emma, I can see now that timing is different for everyone. Thank you for saying that, I said, genuinely touched. It means a lot. Your father and I were talking about it last night, actually. About how much happier you seem now, not because you're getting married, but because you found your way on your own terms. Rose gurgled and grabbed my necklace, effectively ending the moment, but leaving me with a warm feeling of validation I'd sought for so long. Later, as Nathan and I drove home with a sleepy Emma in the back seat, I reflected on the journey of the past year. Penny for your thoughts? Nathan asked, reaching for my hand across the console. I was just thinking about how different everything is now compared to a year ago, I said. How much has changed? Having regrets? He asked lightly, but I could hear the genuine question beneath. Not a single one, I assured him, squeezing his hand. I was thinking about what I've learned. That family isn't always what or who you expect it to be. That happiness doesn't follow a prescribed timeline. That sometimes the most painful moments lead to the most beautiful destinations. That's pretty profound for a Sunday evening, he teased gently. I have my moments, I echoed his words from our first meeting. Few and far between, but they happen. In the rearview mirror, I could see Emma, her head nodding as she fought sleep. This unexpected family of mine, a widower still healing, a little girl with copper curls and a butterfly obsession, and me, finally comfortable in my own skin, wasn't what I'd imagined for myself. It was better because it was real and earned and chosen. The family I found hadn't come in the order society expected. There had been pain and loss and growth before we found each other. But waiting for the right connection rather than forcing the wrong one had given me something more authentic than I could have imagined. As we pulled into our driveway, our home, filled with touches of all 3 of us, I felt a profound sense of peace. The path matters as much as the destination. My path had been winding and sometimes difficult, but it had led me exactly where I needed to be, exactly when I needed to be there. Have you ever experienced a moment when someone's criticism or judgment unexpectedly led you to something beautiful? Or found that your life took a different path than expected, but turned out better for it? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if this journey resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear that their timeline is valid too. Thank you for being part of my story today, and remember, the right people will love you exactly as you are, right where you are.